Monolith Productions is a game studio that turns any genre they touch into pure gold. They broke onto the scene in the late 90s with titles such as Blood, No One Lives Forever. Recently, they're probably most known for Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, and they're also working on a new Wonder Woman game for Warner Brothers. However, in 2005, Monolith Productions put out a little game known as F.E.A.R. I had only ever played F.E.A.R. on the Xbox 360 back in the day. This was probably around the same time I was assassinating people in Hitman Blood Money and taking the city back in Saints Row. So imagine my surprise when I pop this in, and one of the first things I see is... So today we're going to be looking at F.E.A.R., as well as its 2 expansions on PC. Let's go and cover some evil, shall we? Now, the gameplay loop in F.E.A.R. is pretty standard. You're dropped into a level with some sort of objective, that usually being reach the end. On your way there, you're going to encounter a lot of enemies, guns, and other pickups like body armor, health packs, permanent boosters for both your health and your reflexes, and a ton of grenades. Too many grenades, actually. At its core, F.E.A.R. is a tactical shooter with AI that remains way ahead of its time, rivaling even that of modern games. You have 3 weapon slots that you could fill as you wish, and unlike some other games, you're not forced to keep a sidearm. So feel free to toss that handgun to the side and replace it with, I don't know, a rocket launcher instead. You're gonna need it, because the enemy encounters in this game are relentless. I cannot tell you how many times I've taken cover to catch my breath, only to have a grenade lobbed directly at my feet. And don't even get me started on these fucking guys. Luckily, F.E.A.R. includes a slowdown mechanic known as reflex time. I didn't utilize this mechanic as much as I should have during my playthrough of the base game, but there were moments where this was damn near essential in the expansions. I love the gunplay in this game. Each weapon feels incredible to use. My personal favorite loadout included the shotgun, the assault rifle, and the plasma rifle, each with a purpose, and each serving that purpose extremely well. Extraction Point adds some new guns into the mix, like the laser rifle and the minigun. Both are very fun additions to the arsenal. Perseus Mandate adds an upgraded rifle as well that quickly became my go-to during that playthrough. Now, in my opinion, a shotgun can make or break a shooter. If the shotgun doesn't allow me to turn enemies into red mist, then I don't want it. Fortunately, the development team of F.E.A.R. understood this, and to steal a line from a certain game-reviewing Aussie,
yes, the shotgun fucks.
F.E.A.R. also apparently has great melee combat, but to be honest, I barely used it. I was too busy... Yeah, I utilized it more in the expansions, but I'm a bit disappointed that I played most of the base game without it. The level design in F.E.A.R. is fairly straightforward. You have your long Source Engine-esque rectangular corridors, open areas for big encounters, and tons of rooms to explore along the way. While the progression is a bit linear, the layout doesn't hinder the sense of exploration. The level environments made sense in the context of the story. There wasn't anything that felt odd or out of place with the exception of the intentional paranormal elements. Now let's talk about the sound design in this game because, wow. From the soft whispers that echo through every corridor to the frantic yet methodical enemy voice lines, every sound effect in this game is designed to invoke a sense of fear and dread. The unsettling hum of almost presence or the sharp clang of bullet casings hitting the ground during intense firefights just adds layers of realism to the experience. In F.E.A.R., sound isn't just a background element. It's a vital tool for building suspense and enhancing gameplay. The plot of F.E.A.R. heavily revolves around the main character, only referred to as Point Man. He is a member of the First Encounter Assault Recon Task Force, a military group that deals with paranormal encounters. Your team consists of Douglas Holliday and Jin. Although you don't do a whole lot with them during the base game, they do show up quite a bit in Extraction Point. A corporation known as Armachan has requested the assistance of F.E.A.R., as an experimental soldier named Paxton Fettel has gone rogue and taken psychic control of an army of clone soldiers called replicas. So, pretty grounded story. Visions of an 8-year-old girl named Alma persist throughout the game. It's thought that she's the main antagonist as well as the reason why Fettel went rogue. It turns out, Alma is seeking revenge on Arma-chan for experiments they put her through when she was a child. The bulk of the game follows Point Man and the F.E.A.R unit as they track down Pax and Fettel. During the mission, you're introduced to Alice Wade and Harlan Wade, the latter of which is discovered to be Alma's father. When you discover Alice, she is dead set on going to find her father, a mission you share. So she runs off and basically you're just chasing her. This leads to Alice being murdered by Pax and Fettel. Hold on. Side note, this fat fuck is named Norton Mapes, and he's probably the most obnoxious character I've met in any video game. You encounter him somewhere in the middle of the game and he turns out to be working with Arma-chan against you, but he's so fucking obnoxious. The final chapter of the game sees Point Man shooting Fettel in the face and going to rescue Harlan. Harlan is seen entering the vault where Alma is apparently being kept. Harlan, who feels much regret, decides to release Alma, and to show her thanks, Alma immediately rips him into pieces. And now she's free, and she wreaks havoc in the facility, to say the least. So, the Point Man is tasked with sabotaging the reactor, causing the facility to detonate. The twist is, however, that the main character is actually Alma's first son, Fettel being her second, making him your brother. So yeah, you shot your brother in the face. The base game ends with Alma recognizing you as her son and attempting to hug you. However, being that her touch is lethal, the only way you could survive is by shooting her over and over again until she disappears. So, talk about some family trauma. The reactor finally explodes, sending the Point Man flying back with debris until he is rescued by his team, and one of my favorite game endings of all time.
I don't know how you lived through that.
Still don't know the extent of the damage.
We haven't been able to get through to anyone since the explosion. What about Alma? What happened to her? What was that sound?
Going forward, there are two timelines, the expansions and the mainline games. Timegate Studios developed two expansions for F.E.A.R. F.E.A.R Extraction Point, which was released in 2006, and Perseus Mandate, which was released in 2007. I'm not going to say that Timegate developed better games than the original, but they're pretty damn good in their own right. One of my favorite enemy encounters was actually in the opening chapter of Extraction Point. Extraction Point acts as a direct continuation of the original game. Your team survives the helicopter crash and is now trying to find a way out. Extraction Point had one of the scariest moments in the series so far, when Alma brutally murders Douglas Holliday. The plot of Extraction Point isn't anything amazing, not a ton of new info is learned, and none of it's canonical anyway, but the game ends with both of your team members being dead, I think, and Paxton Fettel destroying your only means of escape. Oh yeah, he actually didn't die in the first game. Somehow. Perseus Mandate follows an entirely different team who is tasked with collecting data on something called Perseus. The gameplay is fun, but the story in this one isn't the strongest either. I can understand why Monolith decided to take things in a different direction with F.E.A.R 2. With a gameplay loop that never feels stale, to game design that stands the test of time, F.E.A.R stands as a testament to Monolith Productions' ability to develop great games. While the expansions didn't stay in continuity, they certainly made an impression on me, and I would play all 3 games again. I would highly recommend both F.E.A.R and the expansions to anyone who enjoys challenging first-person shooters, and especially to anyone who is a fan of horror as well. these are a must play. Yeah, and this fat fuck lives to be seen in Extraction Point, a fact that 1, doesn't really make sense, and 2, pisses me off. Hashtag keep Norton dead. I hope you enjoyed my review of the original F.E.A.R. as much as I enjoyed playing it. I hope to look at F.E.A.R. 2 and 3 in the upcoming week, so keep an eye out for that video later. Thanks for watching.